It's already round 3 in the Championship this weekend. Here are my predictions. Make sure you play along in the comments. Copy and paste the fixtures over from the description and get your predictions in down there. Less said the better for me last round. 3 out of 11 predicted correctly. Must do better. Blackburn versus West Brom. Superb start from Blackburn. 2 wins from 2. No goals conceded, and the only team in the division to have scored 6 points so far. Rovers will be pretty confident, but so too, I think, will be West Brom. I saw them in the flesh on Monday against Watford, and they played ever so well, looked very exciting and attacking, but could only secure themselves a second straight draw of the season against the Hornets. I think Rovers' momentum means they won't be losing, but West Brom didn't look far off being a very decent team on Monday. Draw. Sunderland versus QPR. Both these sides recorded their first wins last week, and both boasted great performances from star forwards. Ellis Sims landed in that Sunderland 11 and scored twice in the win down at Bristol City, while Chris Willock made his long-awaited return for QPR and smashed one into the top corner within 15 minutes of getting back. I wonder if that sense of momentum carried over from last season's promotion and establishing the Stadium of Light as a hard place to go might just carry the Mackems over the line in this one. Home. Watford versus Burnley. I can't quite put my finger on Watford just yet. They've got 4 points so far, but are they being carried to a certain extent by their excellent front line of Sarr, Dennis and João Pedro? And if so, will that trick work once again during the Friday night visit of Burnley? I will be there. Look out for the vlog. The Clarets also have 4 points with perhaps ever so slightly easier fixtures than Watford have had. But certainly we've seen the establishment of this new game plan and they are taking that into games. Really feels like there's not a lot in this one. 2 newly relegated sides, 2 parachute teams. I think both sides to exploit their strengths to some extent. Draw. Cardiff versus Birmingham. I saw Birmingham on Friday night in the flesh as they defeated Huddersfield. John Eustace seems to have had a fairly instantaneous impact. And they look good, particularly in the first half, with Bakuna pulling the strings from that number 10 position. New look Cardiff have had 1 win and 1 loss, but it doesn't look like they're creating a hell of a lot of chances. Can Blues take those good habits from Friday on the road? I probably need my joker to say this, but hey, why the hell not? Away! Hull versus Norwich. New look Hull remain unbeaten while Norwich are still yet to win. Both of these two drew their matches at the weekend, but I dare say, looking at the numbers, Hull would have been happy to take a point given the chances they gave up at Preston, and Norwich will be pretty annoyed they didn't get all 3 against Wigan. I'm going to double down on Norwich. I'm going to back them again. Never learn, do I? I think there's too much quality there, and I do think it's going to turn at some point. For Dean Smith, that needs to be as soon as possible. Away! Middlesbrough versus Sheffield United. There's some horrible ones to call this week. Hey, there always is in the Championship. It's the Chris Wilder derby up at the Riverside as his old club takes on his current club. Sloppy performance though by the Borough at QPR last week, particularly defending crosses. They were 1-2-3 down pretty early on in the game, and that leaves them on just 1 point. Elsewhere, it was a first win for the Blades up at Bramall Lane against Millwall, and Jai on target and Amadodzic starring at the back. I don't think either side is near where they're going to be when everything is fully calibrated. But I just feel with the Blades travelling issues and the idea that Borough at some point are going to sort themselves out and really click into gear. I think I'm going to back Chris Wilder here. Home! 6 down, 6 to go. So before we go any further, please do me a massive favour. Hit the like button and support the channel. Millwall versus Coventry. A week off last time for Coventry with some pitch issues, much publicised, putting paid to the game against Rotherham. Coventry fans I've spoken to not terribly impressed by the whole situation, so hopefully we can move on ASAP. Will that weekend off be a good thing or a bad thing? I guess you want to get that early season momentum and muscle memory built up. Could they be a step behind Millwall in that regard? The Lions, always a strong side at home, especially defensively. And I think I fancy them to bounce back from defeat up at Sheffield United last week. Home! Rotherham versus Reading. Rotherham were the other club on the end of that postponement at Coventry last weekend. They'll be looking to build on what was an encouraging Week 1 draw against Swansea, where the game plan we expect to be deployed for the most part this season seemed to work fairly effectively. Encouraging is exactly what Reading's win over Cardiff was too, though, at the SCL last weekend. It showed good character. It came from behind. Great winner by Tom Ince. Look, it's another home game for the Millers. Can they get up and at Reading? I would say so. Can they keep a clean sheet, though? I'm less certain. Draw. Huddersfield versus Stoke. Now, I would be extremely worried about Huddersfield if it weren't for a second half rally at Birmingham last week. As it stands, I'm still worried, though, and if you waited until you're 2-0 down before starting playing, that's not perhaps the most solid strategy. Stoke, on the other hand, looked much better in defeating Blackpool last week. And with one side's confidence boosted and trending upwards, and the others probably very fragile, I think this could be another tough afternoon for Huddersfield and their new boss, Danny Schofield. Away! Blackpool versus Swansea. Horrible week for Swansea last time. A 3-0 defeat, and those all too familiar failings in that possession-heavy strategy were exploited very publicly by Blackburn. Go out and check out their TikTok feed for more on that. I'm not expecting any kind of back-to-basics stuff from Russ Martin and Swansea, but I do suspect we'll see a far more focused performance on not being so straightforward to play against. Will that be enough to get past Blackpool? Home advantage definitely counts for something up at Bloomfield Road, but it may not be enough for the win. I'm pretty down the middle on this one, guys. Draw. Luton versus Preston. Preston are having loads of shots and not scoring any goals in the league, although virtually all their chances flew into the net during the League Cup game in mid-week. I should also say Preston aren't conceding any goals, by the way, and they have 2 straight 0-0 draws thus far. Luton were impressive at Burnley. They got the draw, and it did have the feeling of getting the season up and running after not so great 0-0 on the opening day against Birmingham. I do fancy the Hatters in this one to get things moving at the Kenny with their first win, which would leave poor old Preston winless. Home! Wigan versus Bristol City. Well, Wigan seemed jolly happy with their Carrow Road point in the early kickoff on Saturday. The League One champions have stuck with pretty much exactly the team that got them up, and as a result have looked durable in securing 2 draws thus far. Bristol City, on the other hand, have looked far from durable, and they're the only team in the league to have conceded 5 goals. I think there's going to be some more of the same. I'm sure they'll concede, but I do like the Bristol City attack. Will that make the difference? I think possibly. Away! That's my round 3 predictions all done. Get yours in via the comments. And remember, me predicting Team A to win is absolutely not the same as me hoping Team B is going to lose. We say it every week. Don't take it personally. And at least 12 teams will not win their championship game this coming weekend. Now you've hit like and put your predictions in the comments. If you want to stay with the channel, why not click here to see our review of the games in round 2. And for something a little bit different, click here to see our first dearly departed show of the season, looking at the Premier League and a positive start for Fulham and Alexander Mitrovic.